Hi again, ladies and gentlemen. So before I humbly invite our speaker on board, I'll just steal a few minutes from all of you here to just very quickly, those of you who have just joined us, I just need to reiterate some of those interesting announcements from my bulletin yet again. But most importantly, from that, I have to tell you that the feedback forms that you submit. So we have two kinds of feedback forms. One that you would find at the partner booth. Now, this is also very important in a way because this also gets you on those points on your leaderboard, right? So make sure you fill in the feedback forms at the partner booths. And of course, there's a separate feedback form which we always curate to know your feedback, which you can find at the lobby. And I'm sure you can figure out these two feedback forms and fill it in as the day progresses. So in the meanwhile, right now, as I'm speaking, you can just turn your gaze towards those respective icons that are stationed very mindfully at the bottom of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, right? If you're having a good time already, make sure you use our official hashtag and share your experiences already. Let us know how do you feel about the platform. And of course, you just heard our opening keynote at the same time. So something that was very topical with which we started, right? So pour in those comments using the hashtag ETDataCon. Well, this is day one. And I would want all of you to keep leaving your impressions, check out the different parameters and how you can really up those scores, because I want a lot of you to win those vouchers. Now, that's one. But most importantly, very dutifully, our representatives from our partners, they are stationed. You can have one-on-one chat with them. You can engage, you can talk to them. It's just like a very easy chat that you can also initiate with your colleagues who are also watching along with you. So we have practically and virtually included everything that you can sort of experience here, right from games, right from resources, right from partner exhibits, to everything that you can rejuvenate yourself with. You can take a break, and most importantly, keep your attention intact, because having said that, and while giving you a bit of time to yourself experience and explore the features, I will take this moment now to introduce our next keynote speaker, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, when I welcomed all of you, data revolution to evolution. Now, we're going to be watching and hearing the automotive story from the lens of Alexander Klotz, the head technical center India from Continental Automotive. Alexander, if you're all set, we are set to hand it over to you.
A very warm welcome and very good morning to everyone. Nice to be here. Thank you for the invite. Yeah, happy to be part of the Economic Times DataCon event. And as we just heard, I want to talk about the automotive perspective a bit. Actually, there is, as we speak data, some technical glitch. I purposely did not have slides, but I had one slide actually. But my PC decided to restart with some long delays. So I'm on my phone right now, and frankly, I cannot share the slides. Sorry about that. It's just one slide, so you're not missing anything. I can walk you through that. Do you have some kind of background or so you want to put? Maybe that's better, but you can see my face then anyhow. Good. So as economies are changing, right? Consumer preference are changing rapidly in the last years. And this is not a phenomenon that comes only from Corona. It's actually something that has been fueled and driven a lot by new technologies, new business models, complete disruption in some of the business models, sustainability requirements from end consumers who want to be really reducing their footprint basically on this earth, digitalization, preferences about ownership, right, the sharing economy, and also a lot of automation increase that we can see. This is changing the landscape a lot, and that is changing also many industries, and it will not make any pause for automotive for sure. There's a couple of points I want to tell you that evolution and revolution, and give you hints to the data perspective then what it means for us in different chapters. So the first one which is happening is actually that the automobile is moving away from a traditionally just transport utility from A to B, in some respect, in some classes, maybe a status symbol. It's moving into an integral part, becoming and being an integral part of your life, where you basically, while sitting in the car, you can take care of what and who matters to you, right? So instead of just being fully occupied with the task of driving, you can consume media that you like, you can talk to friends, you can have video chats, whatever, because the task of driving is going a bit into the background as automation takes over. This one we do in a very safe way, in a very convenient way, and so eventually this will increase the quality of life. What does that mean from the system or from the component and technology perspective? You're actually moving from an isolated system, which means there's an individual car sitting somewhere in the desert, in the middle of the street, to a connected system, an interconnected system. And that is from the vehicle itself, inside the vehicle. There's much more, let's say, interfaces and connection between sensors in the car, combining, for example, different sensors into a comprehensive environmental model, understanding really what is around the vehicle, understanding what is inside the vehicle at any given time, but also connecting to fleet management systems, connecting large fleets of vehicles, connecting to governments and cities, infrastructure, traffic lights, and they will also ensure that the whole experience is interconnected in a multimodal approach, where you don't have only the individual car, but you actually have then buses, trains, two-wheelers that are connected with that, and then you can optimize the overall traffic flow. These are all enabled by software, first of all. And we have assumptions, estimations that the software business for automotive, which is estimated to be $20 billion in 2020, is growing by a factor of 4 to 80 billion in 2030. And with that, to also give you another perspective, in 15 years' time, so starting rather 2015, expectation to 2030 is that the computing power required in the vehicle will grow by a factor of 50. You can also bet then that this has a lot of impact on data needs. So, and actually on systems and changes architectures in the car. Continental's role in that is actually being a large system integrator as well, starting with defining the right vehicle system architectures, integrating third-party software or components, bringing cross-domain knowledge, from user experience perspective, from highly automated driving perspective, integrating those into high-performance computers, vehicle system architectures, server architectures, which are replacing traditional individual computers, if you will, ECUs, we call them, electronic control units. And really, we are using our 30,000 plus internal engineers to develop these and bring these knowledge on the street. This is actually driving and is driven by a lot of data. Now, you start with the usage in the car, right? I mean, you start with what is actually, like you do on smartphones, what is the driver actually interested in? What is he doing? How can I better support him? What is the need that he has? So you provide maybe a personalized user experience. You understand who is in the car. What is the condition inside their car? You understand not only the driver, potentially even the users or the passengers. You provide analysis about the components in the car. All the sensors and systems have a lot of data that you can use for predictive maintenance, remote vehicle diagnosis. You can improve functions, you can improve features. This can be used for development of new systems in the future, right? Where we take data out of the field, understand how it's used, where it maybe needs to be redesigned to further be improved. You connect, as I mentioned before, to a lot of other traffic members, whether that's infrastructure or whether that's pedestrians, whether that's two-wheelers, and all that you integrate then into one system. The ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance System, which is the camera, for example, the radar, making sure you stay on the road with lane keeping systems, or making sure you always keep the right distance and you can brake automatically in emergency situations, is already petabytes of data that we have in our internal server rooms and data centers today. And this is a huge challenge already, right? To have this data always available in all the development centers, right? Data from different countries and development being done in India, for example. This is also something which we need to look at further. So it's petabytes of data. But the other aspect of that is that a vehicle that generates megabyte of data per second in the past, because it may have had maybe a black and white camera that was just enough for a lane keeping system, lane detection. You're going from megabytes per second to gigabytes per second. We actually will have up to 20 high resolution sensors in a car, which are not only cameras, that are lidars, high resolution flash lidars, for example, like the one from Continental, and radar sensors. And they're all combined. They all bring that comprehensive environmental model, as I mentioned. They are added up by data from external sources, weather data, traffic data. And as I mentioned before, they're connected to infrastructure. They're connected to other vehicles, Car2X, if you will. And there, it just gives you a glimpse of that data amount that is coming there. And then I want to make one statement there. We're not talking big data, ideally, because big data is actually not helping too much. We need to talk about smart data. You need to have the capabilities also inside the car already to detect and to filter, to understand the data and prioritize what needs to be updated, what needs to be distributed to other participants around you, what needs to be updated in the cloud, and what can basically be dismissed. Further then, this comes certainly all just with a good connectivity, right? And a good cloud connection with the respective architectures there, whether it's in the cloud and the edge. An interesting fact then, the car will somehow be a smartphone on wheels, right? Which gets a lot of data, will get new software, it will get updates, and it will also upload a lot of information from the car, like your picture sharing, right? I mean, you're right that you share from the car maybe, and you don't need another external camera. You just take the internal sensors to record a nice drive that you want to upload. Just think about all that. There's maybe most of these functions could be considered nice to have, and they're nice for the consumers. They are like a smartphone on wheels. But there's a tremendous part also that is not like a smartphone, where the car must not be a smartphone on wheels. Why is that? If you are standing somewhere with your phone and you don't have reception, for example, the phone isn't working, you restart it, that's pretty okay, you are used to it. You just move by 10 meters, you stand in the corner somewhere where you feel the reception is just fine, and you hold your call or you hold yourself there just to finish your call and don't lose reception. In a car that is parked in a parking garage and has no reception, there's no way to move it around. If you cannot use in that situation your phone to open the car, you're stuck. If certain functions will not work without connectivity, that might be a convenience issue, or this might be a safety issue as well. So we need to design architectures and functions in a way that they are 99.9% reliable and available, which again has consequences on the data part. When we look at that, is how about the data availability? How about the data integrity? Right? How about the server structures that are there that really ensure this high level of availability? And those things, again, I'm just repeating myself. We need to design the right platforms from the beginning. We need to work together with the partners, and that is where a platform like this today, like the conference today, is certainly very helpful. And we need to make sure that the system itself is providing the right functionality at all times. With all these connectivity, right, with all this data, there's a new risk coming. Yeah? We are going from components to interlinked and to connected new architectures. I briefly touched on that. We're talking about high-performance computers. We're talking about PCs, capabilities in a car where there's maybe 2, 3 of them for different domains or potentially cross domains, having lots of computing power, being able to deploy much more functions, and being able to be updated and potentially even upgraded with new functions over the lifetime of the vehicle. That replaces traditional components to a large extent, where you had individual motor ECUs, engine control units, you had a door or a body controller controlling the lights, you had infotainment. All these are basically then converged into single high-performance computers, and they require less cabling. They offer new capabilities, for example, for updating over the air, because they still have enough headroom in RAM and computing power to grow with the usage and the user. And personalization could be another aspect that you can then add after you purchase the vehicle. It comes with a threat, though. As every connected system, it opens up doors for potential hackers. And this is something where we also need to be very holistic in our approach, where we design the system from the scratch in a way that it prevents attacks, basically, and makes it as difficult for any hacker as possible. So what you really do is then every component is basically logged, ideally, right? As much as you can do it. Every connection, every interface needs to be secured. You have secure connection and communication protocols. All this is the starting point. But the speed, of which the hackers are basically developing can also mean that something that is safe and secure today can be hacked tomorrow. So you continuously need to understand what is happening in the market, which brings me back to monitoring a large amount of data. You have a fleet of vehicles that are basically constantly monitored, where you understand anomalies. What is happening there? How are cars behaving? Are there any strange behaviors on the vehicle buses? Is there any functionality not working as it's supposed to do? And all this calls for data analytics, real time, available then globally for the developers to understand the threat, develop countermeasures, and deploy them and respond in short time with fixes and to basically close any potential area of risk there. So with that, what you would see is then a lot of these changes, if you look at the cars of today, are happening under the hood. A car today may look a little bit more futuristic from outside compared to 10, 15 years ago, but it's still a car on 4 wheels. But whatever I mentioned before, starting with these architectures, starting with high performance computing, the high number of high resolution sensors, the connectivity to all this is bringing a complexity that is, giving you one example, that is bringing projects like a high performance computing vehicle, network architecture into one of these components, then having up to 600 engineers working at a similar at the same time on one component. That is bringing a complexity which is basically integrating also third-party software, right? Continuous integration, continuous deployment, adding requirements over time from the customers. Again, the 600 engineers, that is quite an amount which cannot further grow, should not further grow, but there's no way back. So if it shouldn't further grow, if we need to really improve that development there, how can we be more efficient? How can we work more on platforms and standardize certain things, which are also of no differentiation for the end consumer? How can we make sure we develop the time and invest the time on new features? How can we collaborate stronger in the industry? And this is where this conference today is really a perfect platform, bringing the different peoples together, bringing the different companies together, and addressing the challenges we see in automotive. Thank you so much for your attention and for Economic Times to hosting this conference. Thank you so much.
Well, I think it couldn't have been said better. It's shown the smart data and it will confess to anything, right? Alexander, thank you very much. I think we really enjoyed your narrative and also the storytelling with your skills intact. Thank you for virtually flowing the skies and joining us. All right. Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, right in a few seconds from now, we will be just leading the way. I will be back with the details right in a bit. See you.